This is a 2016 Norco Threshold Aluminum 105 bicycle in an inverted position. In this video, I'll go over the manufacturing defects or manufacturing problems or issues the bicycle comes with. This 2016 bicycle has 420 kilometers on it and is ready to be cleaned. I left the dirt in it so I can point out some of the issues with some of the features on the bicycle. These deficiencies or these problems can range in severity from fairly easy to fix, doesn't cost anything, to could lead to costly or catastrophic failure. So, before we start, I want to point out that very few pieces on this bicycle are actually made by Norco. The tires are made by Schwalbe. The rims, spokes, wheels and axles aren't made by Norco. The brake rotor and the brake caliper aren't made by Norco. The derailleur and shifter are Shimano. The bottom bracket and the cranks are Shimano. So Norco, however, is at fault with all of these deficiencies because the finished product, the whole thing, is sold as a Norco product. So then it becomes their problem. Now I understand, so Norco shops around and outsources some of these components that others manufacture and they get it fitted on the bike. That's nice, but since this is a Norco product, Norco is the final manufacturer, it's Norco's problem, even though someone else might be at fault, some other manufacturer. So let's get started at the rear chainstay here, and the rear chainstay would be this component here. Let me just get my tweezer off that magnet. On this rear chainstay, this frame is actually made by Norco, so this is a Norco issue. You can see these small holes in the frame that are placed there purposefully. You can see that this is it's called a weep hole, and this weep hole was drilled first and painted after. You can see the paint penetrated to half the depth of the hole, just like so. The function of this weep hole is to drain out any moisture or rain that gets into this tube here, drain it out on the underside. There are steel cables here, steel bolts. Now the aluminum is not magnetic, and this insert that you can see inside is this aluminum chunk running into this mitered chainstay tube here. So that's aluminum that you're looking at on the inside, but there are similar weep holes here holding the caliper. You can see this hole here with a similar paint pattern, so it's partially painted or painted through some of its depth. So this hole here also needs to drain because there's a steel bolt in it holding the caliper on the opposite side, so it needs to stay dry or dry as quickly as possible. And there's the second bolt hole there, you can see it right at the tip of the tweezer there. So there are two more smaller drain holes here, or weep holes there, and that's, I'm not saying this is a weep hole, but you get the idea. When the bicycle is turned the right side up, then water should drain out from these components fairly fast. Now, because again steel fasteners go through it there, okay, so this shouldn't corrode on account of having some moisture entrapped in it, however microscopic, could go through any welding defects or whatever might be there. So that's story one, the weep holes. This was clogged up. This is clogged up with metal shavings at the point of manufacture and had to be picked out with tweezer. Not a big deal, took me 20 seconds to clean it, but you need to check it, you need to notice it, all of the little drain holes, especially the ones holding the caliper mounting bolts, because if those bolts corrode, that's going to be a problem. Another small aluminum issue here is concerning this surface here. You can see this is painted orange, so it was dropped and displaced first and painted after. The displaced aluminum here, that's not forming a perfectly square corner to hold the hub here was causing two bulges of small aluminum here displaced up and displaced towards the axle here. Both of those bulges have been filed away. I filed it away, just this little bit of surface there with a microfile, and these two bulges are interfering with the proper placement and proper seating of this axle. Okay, if this gap here in the frame is made narrower for the axle, the steel threads are not going to be damaged by this little bit of aluminum, but that bulging aluminum will prevent this axle to be properly placed, especially if you are working in dark, in the rain, you have a flat tire and you have to do something and you're rushing and you don't have enough light or good light and you don't notice it, and if this wheel is mounted slightly wrong, that could be catastrophic. Alright, so I just had to file it there. The other side is flawless there. There you can see that the corners are made or machined nicely, so it's just that one little bit of corner. I've never seen anything like it, and it's not a deal breaker, but it could lead to a problem. Another issue here is visible here. This is a zap trap, costs about 1 cent. Now this needed to be placed here because there wasn't one here. You see, this is a cable running to the rear caliper yonder, and this cable needs to run in this little welded on channel here, and there should be a retainer here holding the cable in place. So the problem isn't that this 1 cent zap strap is too expensive. The problem is that there wasn't one, and the cable then, because it's not in a straight line, it wants to go on a straight line, so it snaps out of position towards the wheel. Now I'm not saying that the knobs on the rubber tire will ever wear out or wear through the sheathing of this cable and will chew through braided steel cable, because that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is the tire can get punctured on account of the steel braided lines sticking out, or can just slow you down. Cycling, either which way, could cause a catastrophic loss of brake force, but it's highly unlikely that it happens before you notice it. Anyhow, how this brake cable and this tire here interact without this zap strap is problematic. It's at least a source of friction, which it was, especially when I got a flat tire and the loss of pressure bulges the tire out. The bulged that tire just for about 200 yards, scuffed at the outside of this cable jacketing, just the plastic, and underneath there's a steel sheathing, and underneath there's a steel cable, so it's not going, the rubber tire is not going to chew through all the thickness of that, but the potential is there. This could be a source of problem. So there, 1 cent zap strap fixes it. I'm gonna have to cut it shorter. The last item I want to point out has to do with this rim and the rim tape. This wheel or this rim was made by WTB. This is model SX19, and this rim tape here, let's start here at the valve, is necessary to cover the holes in the rim that hold the spoke nipples in place on the other side. So this tape needs to be here so that the tube that is fitted inside here is not being pinched or forced against the sharp edges of the hole. So the tape needs to be applied neatly and uniformly, which it isn't. This looks like it was done by a 5-year-old, so I'm going to have to remove this whole thing because it's been folded over itself in multiple layers. It looks like that. It really looks like it was done by a 5-year-old. Some sections are actually flat and neatly, functionally covering the spoke nipple holes, but at some portions here again are just disgraceful. At one point here, it caused me a flat tire right around here where my marker is, and right here at this hole, the hole is not covered fully. The hole's edge is not covered fully there, and that caused me a flat tire, just a pinch on the inside. So flat tires are inexpensive to repair, but I really don't want to be doing this on a new bicycle that only has 420 kilometers on it. This is WTB's fault, and then it's Norco's problem from here on, that it's manufactured this way and gets fitted on the bicycle this way in this quality. So overall, my opinion about this bike, that this is an extremely well designed, amazing, fantastic bicycle. Norco, please pick up the pace with quality control, will ya?